Priya.
Hello, how are you, ma'am? So
I'm
good to see
fine.
you.
How are you?
I am good too. Welcome
I've
on
heard
board.
so much
You're our
about you.
first guest here today, and we are
Thank
honored
you.
to have
Thank you
you.
so much.
So I don't want to speak too much about you. I don't want to speak too much about your Swayam personality test. I want you, straight from you, please tell us a little more about you, doctor, and about your business.
Yeah. So, a little about me. I got married when I was very young. In fact, I was 19 when I got married. And 15 days after I got married, I gave my second year BA exams.
Oh.
Yeah. So that, yeah. And then afterwards, my son was born, and then my daughter. And then I started working with children with special needs.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was doing assessments with them, and that's when I realized that. And at that point of time, we were using only foreign tests. There weren't any Indian tests, and there was, bad adaptations of foreign tests. So there was a huge lacunae and a need to have Indian psychometric tests that can understand and assess people. So that's how this entire idea was born. And having said that, that was not an easy idea to execute, to build a psychometric test. And I completed my master's in psychology. And for my PhD, I wanted to, develop tests to assess personality from the Western psychological perspective, because that's all we study in India. So people had not even heard about that, there can be other methods of psychology, the other, theories of psychology.
Hmm.
So, but then I was not able to find anything much from the Western perspective, because this is somewhere way before, that's in early 2000, 2001, that early. Internet was not such a big thing at that time. Google was, still in its infancy. And we were finding it very difficult to find papers, to read research articles, to understand what, dyslexia, dysgraphia, and things like that are.
Correct. Correct.
Um, and that's how this whole journey started for me, you know. And then, when I couldn't find information, so I started thinking, and the idea was always to develop something that was, that could be applied to people across the globe, not just restricted to, I live in Bangalore, so people in Bangalore, or people in Karnataka, or people in India. I felt that that was very restrictive. So when I started thinking about that, I realized that the only common thing across the world is the five elements, the Panchamahabhuta, as we call it, from the Indian tradition. So when I started thinking about it, it was like magic. I used to dream about it in the night, and then in the morning, somebody used to send me books, somebody sent me papers, somebody used to send me references of where I can find information. That entire experience for me is, even to this day, it makes me feel blessed, and that's how I built that entire thing. So how the five elements combine with each other at the physical level, how they combine with each other at the psychological level to form the trigunas, that is sattva, rajas, and tamas. And that is what Sri Krishna talks to Arjuna about in the Bhagavad Gita.
Correct.
And this is common, this Panchamahabhuta theory of understanding people is common across all Indian thought. India has a huge literary tradition, a wealth of information in the Vedas, the Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Ayurveda, Sankhya philosophy. So I started accessing all the information from all these different various resources. And then I, pulled out all the information, imported everything to the domain of psychology, and then developed the tests. So that's how the whole journey started.
So basically, you did not have any precursor of what you were starting. You
No.
completely believed in our cultural knowledge and
Yeah.
went. Now,
I just wanted
if
to
I talk
develop a
about a woman
test.
entrepreneur, if I talk about myself, if I want to start something like this, my family will think I've gone mad. So,
My family also thinks I'm mad. Don't worry about that. We are all mad people only.
how did you cope with this family pressure to begin with?
I think getting into work was my way of coping into family pressure. This helped me to just block out what I did not want.
Hmm.
uh, and the kids were growing up. So I was a 9 to, not even 9, so 10 to 4 entrepreneur initially. So
Okay.
send off my husband to work, send off the kids to school, pack their dabba, send them off to school. And then all my books and everything used to come and, sit on the dining table because that was my area at that time. Nobody could come and talk to me then. So sit there, do all my work, and then 4 o'clock wrap everything up like there was nothing happening in the house, and then sit and play with the kids, teach them, and all that stuff. That
This
was
is
my
so cool.
journey. That was the
Wow.
beginning. When
Okay.
people talk about how startups, many startups were started in the garage and all that. I feel like telling them my startup started at the dining table. I didn't even have the luxury of a garage also to go and
Wow.
start it.
And
You
you
know,
started all by yourself. No
all
team,
by
no
myself.
nothing.
Sorry?
Wow. No team, no nothing, just by
No,
yourself.
nothing. No, nothing. The
This is so
entire research I did it
inspirational.
myself.
This is inspirational in its own way.
Thank you.
And you started basically when you started studying. Now, okay, I'm going to come up with very random questions. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
sure.
But this is me.
Sure.
So, okay, now when you started your journey, how old were you when you started studying all the essence of Indian
Uh,
culture with psychology?
28, 29.
So I say 10 years after your marriage, where you were
Yes.
totally
Yes,
settled, you were
about
in
10
a
years. Between
comfort
10 years
zone.
after my marriage.
So you
Yeah.
first decided to break your comfort zone. The biggest,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes.
No, first this yeah. So like I said, after I got married, 15 days after my wedding was my second year BA exams. So
Hmm.
that only everybody was saying, you got married, no, why do you have to write an exam? Why do you have to study and all? I said, what
Huh.
rubbish. My entire life I've studied to get that one, whatever the worth of that graduation. It is my graduation. No? I mean, it certifies that I've attained a certain level of education, that I'm qualified. And I
Hmm.
was very clear that, I don't see tomorrow, once the kids were born, I had to fill in, forms and all that. And I knew that you will have to enter, that particular section which says what is the qualification of the father and the mother. I didn't want to say second PUC qualified. I mean, seriously. No, not
Okay. So,
happening.
so basically, it was done to firstly protect your name that I don't want to be called an illiterate
Yeah, and
mother.
seriously, who does that? I mean, only people who have no brains do that. Do second PUC, sit at home, get married, and make, I mean, I have nothing against such people.
Huh.
That came across maybe wrong or, very unpolitical or whatever. But I have nothing against them. But that's not me. That's
Hmm.
all I'm saying. That's not me.
Your self-worth. Your
My
self-worth
self-worth.
was
Yeah,
at risk. Okay.
yeah, and then I'm not just from, bimbo who's sitting at home just, having kids and making khana.
Huh.
That's not my identity. That's all.
Okay. Okay.
Nothing against such people,
This,
but
that couldn't have this will lead you into political issue now.
no politics, no religion, no nothing.
Okay, now coming to this 10 years of doing what we are expected to do,
Mm.
what happened? How did that thought come that now it's time to break the box?
The thought came because I was working with children with special needs. And I've always believed that you're born on this earth to give back something to this earth. To you can't just after you're dead, what is it that's going to make? What is it that you're going to leave behind?
Correct.
This person was born, she lived, and then she died. I mean, it's so. I mean, even a tree does that, even a dog does that, even a rat does that. So there has to be some differentiation between inanimate objects and us. And we have a thinking brain. We are blessed. We can talk, we can think, we have critical thinking ability. And
Well, not
I
many
think we
use
need,
it, but yes, we have.
yeah, and we are blessed in that. We are the epitome of, God's creation. That's what we believe. Very, arrogant of humankind to believe that, but still we believe that, right?
Thank you. Thank you for that line.
Yeah. So, and you need to give back to society. You can't just take everything. You're taking air every day. You're drinking water every day. You're using up so much of Earth's resources. You're a weight that Earth has to bear. But in return, what are you giving back? You can't just, money is one aspect. Definitely, you can't survive without money. But other than that, there are some, these are intangibles that, give back. It's a kind of soft power that you develop, which is, that nobody can take it away from you. Correct? And that is so important. That's what enriches our life. That's what enriches society.
So that is how this thought of Swayam came into your mind. So
Swayam came another 10 years later.
Now here I want to ask you one thing. When you started, you knew that 5 years, 10 years down the line, you're going to be the entrepreneur, or you just said, okay, let's start. I want to start.
No,
you did not know where it was going to go.
No such thought at all. I only knew I had to do a PhD to see how I can help kids with learning disabilities.
Wow. And on the way things happened.
And then by the time I finished my PhD, I had pivoted because there was nothing for us to understand people who are normal. I say that in quotes because what is normal, what is abnormal, that's completely different debate entirely. But people who are in the average, let's say that we are in the average, mainstream area. So there was nothing that we could assess people in that area. Correct? So I had to first develop a tool that can assess people, personality, who are in the normal stream of society. And then see how I can adapt it to people, to children who have special needs and so on. I've still not been able to go back to that. That needs a lot more research.
Oh, special needs. I work with them too, so I completely empathize with your statements.
So I did that. I completed my PhD. By the time I completed my PhD, I was frothing at the gills because it was so tough. It was exhausting for me because, like I said, it was a 10 to 4 kind of work that I could do. And then I was married into a very traditional kind of a family. Lots of, festivals. So the Chaturmas that comes, nothing could work. The dining table was overtaken with all lunches and everything because the family gods in our house are there in our house, and all the pujas and all the rituals had to be conducted. Okay. So I was busy with all that. So it was only about 6-8 months in a year that I could do. And how much more can you do? So it took at least about 4 or 5 years, almost 4.5 years for me to complete my PhD. And then by the time I was, usually it takes about 3 years. I took a little bit longer.
Little more. Yes. Knowing from where you're coming, that little more is good. People like me would have taken 9 years to finish it if I was
come on. Definitely not. Definitely not. But then by the time I completed my PhD, I was also known as an authority in understanding personality, in analyzing personality. By my own guide, by my own university, by the external evaluators who evaluated my work when I was standing for my colloquium, my pre-submission colloquium. They said, Shilpa, you have completed work for 3 PhDs. Where is the question of not awarding you a PhD? Of course, we are awarding you. Yeah. It was an amazing journey that I had. I'm very grateful to God for giving me this. Very grateful.
You should be grateful for yourself. To yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. My daughter keeps telling me that. Yeah, true. Absolutely.
Because you got the opportunity. Many people get the opportunity. How many of them actually
I made the opportunity? I'm sorry.
You firstly made the opportunity, then you got the opportunity, and then you fulfilled the opportunity.
Yes.
How many people do that?
Yeah,
there are many women entrepreneurs who have everything on the platter, but the blames don't stop.
Yeah,
the system is such, the husband is such, the kids are such.
Never let go of any chance to grab it. Yeah.
I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
And I'm so inspired. So this is how you began the journey. Now, when you started, then of course you did your PhD and all. How did Swayam come up?
So once I finished my PhD, you have to submit your PhD, convert it into a proper, publish it and, submit it. It's a bound book that you submit to the university, your college where you studied and all that. And then it goes and sits in the library over there. Any PhD, And then I said, okay, fine. After it sits in the library, what is it going to do? It's going to gather dust. I said, bloody hell, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to convert it into a business which I can use. You do so much of work with passion. And By the way, many PhD scholars, when they want to do their PhD, they get a stipend. Because they write your NEET exams and that exams and this exam. I've forgotten the names also anyway. So all that exams and then the JRF. Yeah. So all those exams and they are qualified. But for me, I couldn't do that because I was already 29 plus by the time I, got into a PhD program. So if you're more than 28, unless you have this SC, all that categories, you're not allowed. Plus women. So definitely I was given no funding, no support, no nothing. So everything I did by putting my own resources. It was completely self-funded. So, and I had to also try and see how I can make ends meet and things like that. No. So that's how I said, okay, let me see how I can convert this into a business and help people with this. And it can't just sit you do so much work, you put in such, seminal contribution to the area of Indian psychology. And then to make it go sit in a library and gather dust and get rats to eat it up, I said, it's rubbish. I'm going to see how I can do that. That's how Swayam started. So I built my own software for that because it's a huge amount of calculation that goes into it. I've used a lot of statistics, a lot of Western methodological. I've brought in Western methodology in the sense of bringing in the rigor of scientific assessments, Western scientific assessments, because that is the one that is accepted worldwide. So essentially, I married Vedic tradition, Vedic knowledge systems with modern technology, building a software and modern psychometric methodology that has come to us from the Western psychological tradition to build Swayam, which is an intelligent psychometric tool based on Vedic philosophy to assess people on, the physical physiological aspect, which is what the Tridoshas are, what Ayurveda is, based on. The psychological aspect, the Trigunas, which Sri Krishna talks to Arjuna about, as well as the ethical aspect. So we are the only people in the world who assess people on all these three aspects, the core aspect of a human being. And we triangulate the analysis. So what we give you is a minimum of 90% accurate, a minimum. Yeah.
Can I collect my job? It's just dropping.
Thank you.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, you have a fan in me. Let me tell you, on record. This is
Thank you. Thank you so much. I love it. Thank you.
Okay, now I'm going to come back a little. When you were doing your PhD, back to those days, as you said, because you were funding your own PhD, you were funding your research, you were working with the special need kids, but we all know.
No, by then I was not working with the special need kids. I started working with them. But for my data collection, I had to go into organizations. I went to the police department, collected data from the police department. And then I had different categories of people from whom I had to collect the data. And then put that into computers. So I got somebody to help me with that.
Coming from a traditional family, going to police stations, going to different places. I remember I had one assistant of mine. She comes from a traditional family and I had some work in the police station. I asked her to come with me. Her husband flipped. We haven't taken her to the police station.
Yes, my husband also flipped, but I didn't want to give it any notice.
So I'm like, it's just the police station. We are going for work. Not that we have cases against us. We're going for work.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
but it helped because my husband was a lawyer. He's no more now. And he always knew, things like that. And in fact, I used his influence also a little bit. And I went to the police people and I said, look, I'm this one's wife, just help me with this and all that. Yeah, I made full use of it. Certainly
so
not going to deny
financially also during this entire journey?
Yes, definitely.
Or you were funding your own thing? Or was there support from the family for this?
No, my husband supported me. Definitely.
So you were definitely
blessed. Very blessed. Very blessed. Very blessed. I used to fight with him, but still definitely I made him support me for that.
Fighting is good. It spices up life.
Yeah, absolutely. That's, life can't go on without fights.
It will be so boring otherwise. Imagine two people just
Absolutely.
night all the time. So boring.
Yeah. No, but the women are always right. That's a different matter.
Okay. So coming up to the next question. When you started Square, I'm sure it wouldn't have been a okay, smooth ride because I put it on paper. So everything that I put it has to be absolutely perfect. There must
No,
be
I
some
lost
ups,
money
some
every day.
downs, some learning, some unlearning. How did you cope with those changes? Because on from coming from whatever you did till now and getting into entrepreneurship, it's a paradigm
Sea
shift. It's a
change.
thought
Yeah,
process shift.
yeah. So, first major problem that I faced was with technology. I am not a tech person.
Accept,
Yeah.
expected,
Expected,
expected.
yeah, absolutely expected. What's so new? Absolutely. Yeah, but then for me it wasn't. I didn't expect that kind of, being topified at all. At all, you know. And, people say that, Bangalore is what Silicon Valley, lots of techies, you have techies dropping around on the road everywhere. Where are they? I mean, seriously, where are they? No, you can't find them. And it's so difficult to find somebody who is, ethical,
Ethical and passionate, both together.
ethical and
These
passionate,
are
and who does a
powerful.
good job. So that was a major problem for me. So that really killed my passion to quite a large extent at one point of time. And then until I figured out how I could hack handling them, that was a major drawback for me. Major,
And what
major
did you
drawback.
do? How did you
Sorry.
overcome that? You hacked it. How did you hack it? How can our ladies be helped here? Because I'm sure many are struggling with people management. Many.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can totally understand that because I'm also one of them. Hack it in the sense, I think it's a question of finding the right person. You have to keep looking and looking and looking.
Perseverance.
It's
Basically resilience.
perseverance.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, perseverance. Yeah, that is my middle name, in fact. Perseverance and not give up
Yes.
is my middle name.
And resilience.
And
Come
resilience,
back.
of course.
Come back.
Without that, I couldn't have come so far.
Wow.
Yeah. So
And you
that,
stay focused to your passion. That
yeah,
is another thing.
I have tunnel vision, If you see me at night, it's only like this. I don't see here or there until I focus. My focus is very, very sharp that way.
That
If
is
I have to
another
get something
thing.
done, I go and get it done. I come
Yes.
at any cost. I get it done. I will speak to the person
Really,
5
are you
minutes
all
before.
listening to this beautiful vision? The visionary here giving you all the tips to do it in life. Firstly, it is you. It is not your family, not your circumstances, no nothing. It is
No.
you. Secondly, your vision, your focus, your your resilience. It is you and your passion completely that will make or break you.
Yeah.
It is
And
you
another thing
always.
is you will fall every day. But it's up to us to get up the next day and start walking again.
Bounce back.
Yeah,
Bounce back.
absolutely. I mean, I'm not saying that I haven't, sat down and cried. Definitely, I cry.
Oh, you
Sometimes
are.
when things don't go my way, lots of times I cry. But then 2 days I'm moping around the house, and then the third day I get sick of myself doing that, and then I'm back to work and figuring out how I can hack the problem and things like that. So that's like feeling alone, feeling like there's nothing in this world that is working. Is just par for course.
Okay, had you not started Swayam, let's come to that.
Huh.
Would there be anywhere else you would like to be?
No, nowhere. This is my life that I want to live.
No
This
plan
is
B.
who I am.
Only plan A. So stick to one plan and move, and
Yeah,
somehow make it happen.
yeah. There's not. I mean, looking back, I think I was pushed into what I'm doing today by the Almighty. I used to never touch, non-fiction. I used to read only fiction up to the point of 28, 29, until I started,
Well, we all
making
not
this.
like that. We were all like that. Till one point only. only Mills and Boons and
I
Barbara
went through all
Cummings
that.
and
Wilson Booth and all the Hardys and everything. Yeah. I can't remember. Frederick Fawcett or everybody. I've read every. Sydney Sheldon. Yeah.
Sydney.
Lots
Oh,
of
my favorite. Yes.
favorite.
So all that
Yes.
till the longest, and then suddenly, although the books are there, you don't even want to look at them now.
Yeah, definitely. I have tons of books at home, but I'm not interested anymore. Now I only read non-fiction, lots of philosophy, but then not religion. There's a lot of difference between
There is a
philosophy and
big
religion. Yeah,
difference between philosophy
huge.
and religion.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So,
Yes.
and it also helped my kids. I remember when I was doing my work over here, sitting at the table and doing my work, my kids used to come and talk something, and I used to just keep looking at my laptop and banging on it and say, yeah, okay, do this and all that. So my son used to say, an atom bomb will fall next to you and you won't even lift your head and see anything. And he used to tell me, Mama, from your brain to my brain, just pull one concentration line. No, I can't concentrate at school at all. But that has somehow, that was only in school. But now after both of them have graduated, both of them are working professionals now. They have even better concentration than me. Their friends tell me, how do they get this?
Learn what they see. They pick up what.
Totally. They just learned by watching. So that, if nothing else, then that is something that I have passed on to the next generation.
Again,
Yeah, I know.
the Joe
Absolutely.
moment comes back again. This is inspiration
Thank
for
you.
me personally because I have an 8-year-old. So we know. So as of now, of course, he still has to go to college and all of that. So we
Yeah.
are also going through a similar series of experiences.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
some
No, they
some
only
days you
learn
become
by
the
watching.
superhero for the child, and then some days you're like, Mom, you don't have any time. So you have to balance it out in both ways.
No, Mom, you don't have time. Mom, you don't have brains also. That goes on all the time.
Thankfully, I've not reached that stage still.
Wait. Couple of years and you'll reach
I will
there.
reach very soon. Yes, very soon. It is just down the corner.
Yeah, absolutely. And then once they hit their 30, 32 and all that, no, then they realize and then they come back and say, Ma, what to do for this? You must have lots of experience, no? So tell what is to be done, how to solve this, how to solve that. So I'm still waiting for that age now to come. And I can say, yeah, I'm very experienced now. So chill and listen. And
Okay, now when you started Swayam, what I have understood till now is that, please correct me if I'm wrong anyway, that you just started because you wanted to start. So there was
yeah,
no vision, no mission, no nothing that you had in hand. Now
no,
you have been in Swayam since some time.
yeah.
Do you still are you still working on as it comes each day, or you have a vision?
No. Now completely changed. I have a vision, I have a mission, and I know exactly what to do, complete strategy, whom to
And
talk
where you
to,
want
and
to reach in future. You know where you want to
yeah.
reach. Now that you have marked your future, where have you reached in your journey? What percentage of journey have you covered till now?
I think about 5%.
That's it.
That's it.
The 95 is still to be covered.
I'm not yet a household name. So until I become a household name, I've not reached
I
much.
love you. I love you.
All ambition, a very ambitious lady.
Oh wow. Wow.
Yeah,
No. You're reminding me of me only.
absolutely. That's why we have been put together here.
Okay. All righty. One thing about you that only you know and we don't know. Spill your secrets. Secret. One secret.
I told you, no, my middle name, perseverance and never give up attitude. I
ये तो
never
बता क्या था पहले
ever give up.
अभी सीक्रेट बताने का टाइम है वन सीक्रेट
That's my secret. That's how I've been able to last this long, in spite of so many setbacks.
okay any mistake that you made pained you enough at one point but was the biggest learner you learned the most out of that one mistake.
I think developing the tests itself was a big thing because looking back on it, if I knew that this was going to be such an arduous journey, I don't think I would have taken it up. I never knew how difficult it would be at one point. biggest, understanding the Ayurvedic terminologies and speaking to those doctors. And it's a very close community, Ayurvedic people. They're very scared that we are going to steal their secrets and run away and make money, and they're going to be left out. They have told me that. One person refused to talk to me about that. They talked to me about Ayurveda because he said, "You're going to take away my secrets about Ayurveda. You'll make money and I'll be left holding the pot number." So it's that close-knit community. So to break into that community, understand, the way things work in the human body, to be able to translate that into behavior that I can understand, that I can assess and then predict, that has been a big, big learning curve for me.
And
Very
that would
tough.
be a very, breaking into such close-knit communities can be a uphill task that
Yeah,
we can't even imagine.
humongous task.
And specifically, yes, Ayurveda is a very close-knit community.
Yeah.
And they don't trust easily. They do
No.
not.
No, they don't trust, full stop. There is no easy, fast, and nothing. Just full stop.
Okay, full stop. So manage,
Yeah.
get that trust and create a niche for yourself,
And create a
accumulating that
band of
knowledge.
advisors who believed in me, who trusted me enough to reveal things, who stood by me and who stand by me to today, up to today.
I'm so proud of
And
you.
my tests are being used in research organizations in multiple countries. That
Wow.
itself is a brand endorsement, if I can say that. I mean, how, and I can't name those institutions, obviously, while I'm, on air. Yeah. So to get these kind of institutions to take a test developed by a woman sitting in
Oh,
India and use it in the US or in Germany is an achievement by itself. And I'm very proud of it. And I have
okay,
no problem saying it.
another.
Thank
Another.
you. Thank
How,
you.
how many jaw-dropping moments are you going to give me in one interview?
Thank you. Yeah. And I have
Okay.
to tell you one more thing. I was, invited to London by Mrs. Sherry Blair, who's the wife of the former Prime Minister. Yeah, and Bank of America
Tony
Merrill
Blair.
Lynch.
Mr. Tony Blair's wife.
Wife, yes.
Okay.
And I went there to present my work to them, and there was a huge banquet. I think that was a defining moment in my life that I'm really very. It was a state banquet, and sit down, silver service kind of a dinner. Fabulous. I can never forget that
You, how can anybody forget that? Nobody can forget
night.
that.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
And this happened about 2 months, 3 months after my husband passed away. And I dropped everything and I said, yeah, I'm going. I said, and a lot of raised eyebrows. I said, to hell with everybody's eyebrows. Who cares? And I just went and, it was life changing for me.
There's so many questions I want to ask, but we've run out of time.
Run out of time.
We're
Absolutely.
already 5 minutes up.
I'm sure the viewers also must be bored now. I said, well, enough this lady's spoken, let us just shut up.
It was very interesting. It was so interesting. I could have gone on and on and on. But thank you so much. So
Thank you.
insightful, so inspirational. I
Thank
wish if 10% of our women take only 5% of your story, we will
you. Yeah,
have new stories every day. So looking
absolutely.
forward to
Thank you.
inspire everybody with this story. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you so much, Dr. Shilpa, for coming on board for this first episode of
Thank you.
Inspirational
Thank you,
Stories from
Priya.
Women
I
Entrepreneurs.
have
Stories
enjoyed talking to you.
Priya.
I mean, it didn't feel like, something new at all for me. I felt like I've met you so many days ago, so many years ago, and like we're close friends already. Thank you
Thank
so much for making it
thank
so
you.
smooth and easy.
Thank you. Have a
Thank you.
lovely evening.
You too.
Bye.
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 I have just invited Iti because I think I'm having a technical issue here. Iti, Iti, are you here? Please come. I've invited you. Thank you, everybody. I couldn't read through all the messages. Iti, are you here? Iti, please come online. I'm unable to save this.